Welcome to the Town of Salem Fake Claim tier list. This tier list is intended for newer players who might not know what to fake claim or how to fake claim. I guess while we're explaining things, let's just run through what Town of Salem is and why you would want to fake claim. So Town of Salem is a 15-player social deduction game similar to Among Us, where you're assigned a role that is a specific ability you can utilize throughout the game. Most roles belong to a specific faction. In Town of Salem 2, there are 3 major factions: Coven, Neutral Apocalypse, and Town. The Town faction are the good guys. They oftentimes have strength via majority, whereas every other faction is evil, and they exert their strength through the ability to kill and deceive Town. The main way the Town can win is by utilizing trials, which occur every day as a majority vote. If the trial results in a guilty verdict, that player will be removed from the game. Your goal if you're Town is to vote out all the evil roles, so it's in every evil player's best interest to pretend to be Town for as long as possible. Keep in mind, if you're a Town member, you seldom have any reason to lie about your role. There are some cases in which you can do it. Some examples are if you're a high target role, like a Town Power, a Veteran, or a Confirmed Crusader. However, if you're a new player, it's better to avoid it for now. My suggestion is to pick one or a few fake claims and fake claim it every match until you get the hang of it. Make sure to change your name each game, or else people will catch on that Moldy Milk always claims Sheriff when they're evil. When you eventually get some more practice with more roles, you can graduate to more advanced fake claims that I'll touch on in the tier list. It's important to know what alignments your roles are, since the main way Town progresses the game is by voting for alignment. So how Vote for Alignment works is they'll start voting the person at the top of the list, starting with number 1, and the idea is to pressure that person into claiming their alignment. Once player 1 claims, they'll move on to player 2, and then onto player 3 until every person in the lobby has claimed an alignment. The reason they do this is because Town is the uninformed majority, so this is their way of gaining info. The reason that you claim alignments specifically instead of roles is because there are 2 evil roles that punish players for openly claiming their role. These are the Doomsayer and the Ritualist. If you say you're the Retributionist and you are the Retributionist, the Ritualist can plug that into his little calculator and snipe you across the map. So there are 5 alignments that you can choose to claim, many of which have pros and cons. Town Protect, shortened to TP, is for Cleric, Bodyguard, Crusader, and Trapper claims. The benefit of claiming these is that it's hard to both prove and disprove your legitimacy, as well as being relatively easy to fake. Next is Town Support, which is shortened to TS. This is for Retributionist, Admirer, Amnesiac, Tavern Keeper, and Socialite. Similar to Town Protect, it's hard to prove, but there are some Town Support roles with strong effects. For example, if someone was role-blocked and you've claimed Town Support, they might assume that you're the Tavern Keeper, which makes you look good. After that, there's Town Killing. These roles are Deputy, Veteran, Vigilante, and Trickster. The benefit to claiming Town Killing is that you're essentially giving the town an IOU that you will confirm yourself later. Then, there is Town Investigative. The Town Investigative roles are Sheriff, Investigator, Coroner, Tracker, Lookout, Spy, Psychic, and Seer. Town Investigatives are required to post their information every day. If you do not do so, you will be hung by the town, regardless of if you're a real townie or fake. The benefit to claiming Town Investigative is that you have the ability to steer the town in any direction you choose, but this comes at the risk of incriminating yourself for having wrong info. Finally, the last alignment is Town Power. Town Power, shortened to T-POW, includes Jailer, Mayor, Marshal, Prosecutor, and Monarch. This is the strongest claim of all, however the hardest one to fake since they have such game-changing abilities. Keep in mind, all Town Power roles are unique, meaning there cannot be any duplicates. The benefit of claiming Town Power is that people will trust you more easily, however, you put a large spotlight on yourself in doing so. Without any further ado, let's get cracking. Alright, we're just letting our nuts hang with this tier list. I'm not going to script anything, I'm just going to go completely off the cuff. So, these tiers work. We'll have S, A, and B all be roles that you can consider fake claiming. C, D, and F are roles that you should probably not fake claim. You know, C is better of a fake claim than D, and then F is pretty much don't fake claim this under any circumstances. I guess I'll touch on some of the roles. We're already off to a very interesting start with Admirer. So let's talk about Admirer. So if you're a real Admirer, you can propose to somebody at night. They can either reject you or accept you. If they accept you, you learn what their role is exactly, and that player sees that you are the Admirer as well. And if they're town, you become life-linked and you have the ability to protect them as the Admirer. If they're evil, you are put in a toxic relationship which silences you for the day. So, if you're evil and you are claiming Admirer, you can't go the toxic relationship route, because say you're Coven and you're going to claim Admirer. You claim to have proposed to the serial killer and that you were silenced the night before. The serial killer will directly counterclaim you and say, no, I was never proposed to. And then if they're convincing enough, they'll be like, oh yeah, this is just a Coven who was pushing the serial killer. So you'll get traded out probably the next day. So realistically, the only way you can fake claim Admirer is if you are Coven and you have a Coven team, or you're Neutral Apocalypse and you have a teammate and you want to confirm each other, which it can be an okay claim. It's not bad. If you claim to be Admirer who's never proposed to anybody, that's pretty D tier, but I think it's not bad. People don't often do it, but it's definitely something you have to coordinate with your team, which, I don't know. I'm actually moving Admirer to B tier because not only do you have to coordinate with your team, who they might not know what they're planning on fake claiming, because you have to say, oh, I'm Admirer, I propose to, my Hexmaster, who is pretending to be bodyguard, and now we're chaining. Like, that requires setup. They might not even buy it. And if there's a confirmed town power or another confirmed town role, they'll say, hey, why didn't you propose to the mayor? Why didn't you propose to the prosecutor? Why didn't you propose to the investigator who found the Dreamweaver? So you can get kind of called out on Admirer. So as a fake claim, it's not terrible, but it's not amazing. Our next role is Amnesiac. Amnesiac as a fake claim is not great, but it's not really a real fake claim. Amnesiac isn't a fake claim that you stick with long term. You basically claim Amnesiac as a way to buy time and then say a coroner dies and you're like, okay, I'm Amnesiac turned coroner. So now you're basically just fake claiming coroner. So Amnesiac is just a way to stall for like a day. Even then, they might not even buy it. So I would say it's below average, but also it's not really something you fake claim for a while. Sometimes, maybe a town member doesn't die for a long time, and even then they might still push you because, most roles have some sort of credibility. I'm more inclined to believe, a bodyguard over an Amnesiac who hasn't remembered anything yet. Not because the Amnesiac has done anything wrong, but the idea of a bodyguard in the game, a fake bodyguard has the potential to do something, whereas Amnesiac, who can't remember anything, we know that you're not doing anything. So, at worst, you're just a town member who doesn't do anything that gets hanged, and then at worst, you're evil. Arsonist as a fake claim, there's pretty much no reason you would ever do that. Like, I don't think you should ever fake claim Arsonist. Baker as a fake claim is better than Arsonist, but still, don't fake claim these. These don't work. Berserker is also a bad fake claim, especially because they can easily see, hey, there's no Berserker kills on night 2. You're not even Berserker. You basically have no reason to fake claim anything that is evil. There are a couple that maybe can do something. There's some fringe cases, but there's almost no reason to ever fake claim these. Baker is at least, he doesn't have the threat of killing anybody until later on when he transforms, and it gives a message to town. So, if you fake claim Baker and then, famine pops out, you just get hung that day. But even then, they would probably still hang the Baker if there were no other leads. You're basically putting a target on your back. if you fake claim like a very evil role like that. Bodyguard as a fake claim is okay. You can claim Bodyguard, but the problem with claiming Bodyguard is if any town powers come out, you are expected to be on them at all times. So basically, if you're evil, if you are, say, the Berserker, if you're the Berserker and you fake claim Bodyguard, you can pretty much never kill the town powers without immediately invalidating your Bodyguard claim. And then later on in the game, if you're still alive, it's like, wow, this Bodyguard has not protected and killed a single evil. The Bodyguard must be fake. But it's still a viable fake claim. I just don't think it will last you late into the game. Cleric, however, is kind of just a better Bodyguard claim. Cleric cannot go on revealed mayors, so the Bodyguard can. So if a mayor comes out, as the Cleric, you can't go on the mayor. So if you are the Berserker and you're fake claiming Cleric, you can kill the mayor. That is assuming there's no traps or a real Bodyguard. Either way, it gives you an excuse to not be on the mayor. However, some of the issues that a Bodyguard claim has also applies to Cleric, where if important roles are dying and not being healed when you should be expected to be on them, like a confirmed lookout who might have seen somebody visit and caught like an evil role, if you're not on the lookout and the lookout dies, it makes you look very fake. However, I think Cleric is pretty low stakes. If you're neutral Apocalypse and you have another teammate and say that guy gets attacked by Coven, he can claim to be healed and then you get a pretty valid Cleric claim. However, if you do that and then a neutral Apocalypse pops out, or two of them, they might start thinking maybe the Cleric claim is fake, maybe it's just two Apocalypse who are vouching for each other. Same thing can happen if you guys claim to be admirer targets with each other. But Cleric is an easy claim. You don't have to think too much, you don't have to put a whole lot of detail into your will. If you're a new player, I think Cleric is a very solid claim for you. Conjurer, F tier, probably one of the worst roles that you could possibly claim. Because if you claim Conjurer and no meteor has been thrown, you're not going to get innoed off of the stage. They're going to vote you up before you can throw the meteor. I don't know why you would ever claim this. Almost every Coven role you would not want to claim. The only scenario in which you would want to fake claim Coven is if you're death that popped out. You can say, hey, I'm Coven. I'm going to be honest, guys, I'm Coven. We need to find the death. That is the only scenario in which you would ever want to claim Coven. I'm sure you could arrange other scenarios in which it'd be better to claim Coven. Maybe you're, a werewolf who's about to win, and there's like a vigilante in the game, and you're like, oh, I'm Coven. Vote out the werewolf. Like, say it's a 3 players left. You're the werewolf. You just have to not get voted out. Say there's a vigilante and a Coven. So as werewolf, you could be like, hey, I'm the Coven. Vote out the werewolf. And then the vigilante will try and vote out the werewolf in air quotes so that he can make a draw game. Like, that's another scenario in which you could claim Coven. But pretty much any evil claim is terrible. We're pretty much almost always going to throw them in F tier. Coroner, as a fake claim, kind of weak, especially if you aren't finding the Coven killing. You can also pretty much only claim Coroner if you are Coven, because if you are, say you're Berserker and you claim Coroner, the next day people are going to be like, so who's the Coven killing? Because when you autopsy as the Coroner, it'll tell you the role who killed. Normally when Coven kills, it just says killed by the Coven. It won't tell you exactly what the role is. So pretty much one of the only strengths that Coroner has is that it'll tell you exactly what the Coven killing role is. So if you can't say, hey, the Hexmaster is the Coven killing, and you also have to be right, because Coven will call you out. If you're Berserker and you say, hey, I'm Coroner, Hexmaster is the Coven killing, Coven will put it in their death note and be like, actually, that guy's fake because Dreamweaver is the real Coven killing. So you will be hung. Basically, this claim is specific to Coven only. And even then, it's not super strong. Real coroners will just pretend to be town powers to put a target on their back to draw aggro away from their real town powers. They'll just use themselves as fodder, as sacrifice. But still, if you're Coven and you have a pretty detailed coroner will, it might take you to like the mid game, and sometimes that's just as far as you need to get. I'm just gonna silently throw all of the Coven roles into F tier. Crusader as a fake claim tends to be trusted more than Cleric. However, if you're claiming Crusader, someone can easily call you out. If you post your will and you say, hey, on night 2 I went to 5, and the tracker says, actually I tracked 5 on night 2, so you're fake. However, one secret buff about Crusader is that you're not expected to be on high priority like town power claims, because the Crusader, how he works is when he visits somebody, he will attack a visitor to that target, which includes town members. So if there's a real Cleric and a real Crusader and they both go on the town power claim, then the Crusader will kill the Cleric. So if the Marshal dies and you're not on them, you can say, oh, there were other town protect claims, I didn't want to kill them, so I went to, you know, the Investigator. Even then, I think Crusader is a bit advanced of a fake claim. I would not fake claim it unless you are more experienced, but I don't see too many fake claims on Crusader, which honestly gives it a buff. It gives it a secret buff. If it is an uncommon fake claim, then people don't expect it to be fake, because nobody ever fakes Crusader. Although if you don't have any kills, like you're not confirmed at all, then it kind of sucks. The best claim is stealing someone else's claim. If there's a confirmed Crusader kill and you claim to be Crusader, just don't do it so obvious that the real Crusader counterclaims you. Just kind of subtly imply that you're Crusader. Maybe you can whisper to the Marshal or the Jailer and say, hey, I'm Crusader, don't jail me. Death, actually, genuinely, if Death pops out and you claim Death, this is debatably triple, quadruple F tier. This is the worst thing you could possibly fake claim. Deputy is also a really bad claim. Maybe even D tier. Maybe even actually like C is bad. Like don't, I mean like Amnesiac, I don't know. It's weird. Amnesiac is like, you can fake claim it, but like it's not a long-term thing, so I don't really count it as a real fake claim. This is like something you could fake claim for the whole game, and like it might get you innoed off of the stand once, but you will immediately get questioned, hey Deputy, why haven't you shot yet? Especially if there are clear targets to shoot. This is a really bad claim. Like you really cannot claim Deputy, especially because it's unique. So if you open claim I'm Deputy and there's a real Deputy in the game, you immediately get shot. If you're in the perspective of this Deputy, the worst thing you're thinking is this guy's Jester fake claiming Deputy to get hung, and then best case scenario, you're any of these other evils. Doomsayer is something I see people fake claim a lot. It tends to get it tends to slide more often than you would think, and it pisses me off. I hate when people claim Doomsayer, when people claim Executioner. Fuck it, let's do it right now. Doomsayer or Dreamweaver F tier, Enchanter F tier, Executioner D tier. These two are very similar. They are let slide way too often. As Doomsayer, people will just open claim Doomsayer and then just get let go because there aren't enough leads for the Doomsayer to determine who, you know, is evil. The only people that open claim like their info are like town investigatives like Psychic, Seer, Investigator, etc., which are not threatened by the Doomsayer. Similarly, with Executioner, Executioner will be like, hey, I'm Executioner, my target is 5. And then they'll be like, okay, well, I mean, we could just not hang 5 and not waste our time on the Executioner. Even then, I still think this is lazy gameplay. Do not do this. It is still D tier. There's no guarantee that it'll get you innoed off the stand. If town doesn't have any other leads, you will just get hung for doing this. Like, I think if you are an Executioner and you just open claim Executioner without even trying, you didn't even try claiming like Psychic or Seer or like Sheriff and say someone was sus, like at least have the decency, you know, like, show me respect as a player in your game to just, like, it doesn't have to be a hard lie. You could just be like, I'm sheriff, 5 is sus. Like, you could just do that. But the absolute laziness of open claiming Doomsayer and open claiming Executioner, it's like, bro, if you can't even afford to lie on Executioner to get your target pushed, like, maybe you just shouldn't even be playing Town of Salem. Like, maybe this game is just not for you. So many people will be like, I'm Doomsayer hunting Coven. It's like, bro, you gotta doom 3 people? There's like 4 Coven in the match. If 2 Coven die, that means you're gonna have to start coming for town members. Like, one time, some dude open claimed Doomsayer, and I was also Doomsayer, so I doomed the fucking Doomsayer. And I felt nothing but, I just felt ecstatic. I felt pure bliss. I was like, you know what? You get what you deserve. But either way, they're not cardinal sins of F tier, but they are still bad fake claims. Do not fake claim these. The only scenario in which realistically you should fake claim these is if you are basically in F tier and you are trying to pretend to be not a immediate threat. Like, if you get shot by a vigilante and you're arsonist, you could say, oh, I'm Executioner, my target was actually 7. So they might leave you alone in lieu of trying to pick out what they think are higher threats. Little do they know you're arsonist and you're a big threat right now. But they might let you slide so that they can get the confirmed Berserker instead. Even then, they might not even buy your claim because Berserker is still, you know, immune. But say there's 3 Coven left, and there's like a Vigilante and like a couple other townies, and they know they're quickly going to lose majority to Coven. They might let the immune Executioner claim go and try and hunt Coven while they have the chance. So there is some merit to fake claiming these roles. Although, I mean, if you claim Doomsayer and you got shot by a Vigilante, the Vigilante will be like, well, you know, you can doom me, so I don't really want you in the game either. But sometimes their win condition is having the Doomsayer doom someone for you. You can be an investigator and you think, I might just be the only town left. I might be surrounded by a serial killer, 2 Coven, and like a werewolf and a Doomsayer. So it'd be like, Doomsayer, you're my only win condition here. So sometimes Doomsayers and Executioners can be okay to fake claim. Any transformed Apocalypse is immediately threatening. So we're not even gonna waste our time on these. Investigator, I guess I would have to say an A tier, because it's better than Admirer, BG, and Coroner. I don't know if significantly so, but at least Investigator is not hard limited to, you know, a specific faction. Like Admirer, you need a duo buddy to claim with. Coroner, you need to accurately tell who the killers are. Investigator, you could be like a serial killer. You can solo claim this as an evil role, and if you're perceptive enough, you could just random guess like who the Coven killing is and say that they have blood. And if you're right, you know, it makes you look really good. The Investigator has an alternative percept ability, but you're really not expected to use it, so just ignore the percept if you're evil. It's just kind of too risky to bother with as an evil, and it's also not expected of you, so you know, you don't really have to. As Investigator, you could really be any role, but the second that you say the Coven killing has no blood, they will immediately know you're fake, so there is some risk in it, but I think it's a little bit less risky. Although it is really risky if there's, you know, a bunch of killers, like, you know, a Berserker kills, a serial killer kills, Coven kills, a werewolf kills, and then, you know, you're a fucking, I don't know, you're a plague bearer claiming Investigator, and you say, this dude has no blood. It's like, really? I mean, there's all these killers in this lobby. Surely you would find someone with blood. But I guess in a scenario like that, you could just fucking longball it and just guess someone random as having blood, and chances are you might just be right. So either way, Investigator, not a terrible fake claim. Especially if you're Coven, and Coven are the only people killing, then you can kind of just know, hey, just don't say that, you know, number 7 Armadusa has blood. Just say everyone else has no blood except that guy. Jailer as a fake claim overall is pretty bad, However, there's pretty much just one merit to fake claiming jailer, and it's if you're put on the stand, you claim town power, everyone says, oh, what are you? You can say, I'm jailer. That will buy you one night, basically one night, and then you'll be killed the next. You'll be hung the next day. But if you're an important evil role, then, you know, you could get some stuff done. You can buy at least 1 day of time. But either way, if you fake claim jailer and there's a real jailer in the game, you will immediately be jailed and executed, and the jailer doesn't even have to out himself to do that. Whereas if you fake claim mayor and then a real mayor reveals, that mayor is putting himself at risk of being doomed by a doomsayer, killed by a ritualist. Jailer can do that anonymously, so, you know, almost all town powers are like kind of scary to fake claim. Usually when you fake claim town power, you kind of just pivot based on what is in your match. Like, you decide what town power you're going to fake claim later because, you know, the marshal might just pop out and you're like, oh, you know, I was going to claim marshal, but now I got to claim prosecutor. So usually you just claim town power and then you worry about the specific claim later. But the second you say that there's a jailer, then, you know, you'll probably get innoed off of the stage, but you'll probably immediately be killed the next day because they'll start asking who was jailed. And then if you say 7 was jailed, 7 could be like, I was not jailed. And even if you are Coven and you get your Coven teammate to say, yeah, I was jailed, they could just suss you guys both out and be like, well, you know, it's day 4. This is the first time anyone is claimed jailed. So you guys are probably both evil. It's very risky, probably too risky to bother with. Jester as a fake claim is pretty bad. Probably less bad than all of the other ones because, you know, just the mere threat of a jester is a little worrisome. Nobody wants to get haunted by the jester. However, in this game, people don't fear jesters like they used to. You will not be innoed for being a jester because chances are the person you haunt is gonna be evil. Same thing with executioner. Chances are the executioner's target is evil, and then the person that gets tormented is probably gonna be evil too. It's so crazy how many times an executioner will get their target mislynched, that person will still be evil, and then they'll just randomly torment an evil, and it just is a 3 for like nothing exchange for town. Town gets rid of a neutral, who was not really on their side anyway, and then they also get 2 threats out of their way. Similar thing with Jester, where, you know, if you try and play it off like you are Jester, they'll be like, yeah, I don't buy it. Because nobody does that. Not even jesters do that. It's so easy to get hung as jester that people don't give up so much on jester as they might on doomsayer, because doomsayer can be hard to win sometimes. Doomsayer, you do have to put effort in. You have to keep track of claims. Executioner, you do have to put effort in. You do have to push somebody. Jester, you could literally say nothing and get hung. So fake claiming jester is not something that real jesters do. There is a chance that you get innoed. I think claiming jester is more likely to get you guiltied than claiming executioner, to be honest. Lookout. Lookout's interesting. Lookout is a very strong claim. There's basically only a handful of evil roles that can even pretend to be lookout. Like, Wildling basically exists to invalidate both lookout and tracker claims, and I guess Werewolf's scent ability also seeks to invalidate tracker and lookout claims, but otherwise it's really hard to fake claim lookout. I think low-key lookout claim is just too difficult to realistically pull off. Requires an insane amount of paying attention, coordination, luck, and even then it might not be enough. I would not recommend fake claiming lookout unless you are a wildling, a werewolf. That's really it. Next up, Marshal. We could honestly do Marshal and Mayor at the same time. They're both D tier. You can reveal at almost any time. I mean, Mayor can reveal at any time. Marshal reveals during voting time. And if you claim Marshal or Mayor, oftentimes there will be 2 people who are suspicious and people will be claiming Marshal pop out, Marshal pop out. Mayor, at least, I think Mayor is at least at the top of D tier because you're not exactly expected to pop out. You can You can make an argument that you're playing for late game mayor and you want to pop out, towards the end of the game. But I think if that is your strategy, you would not want to claim town power. You'd want to claim something like town support, something that is more suspicious, because if you claim town power, you're basically putting a target on your back. And people will be like, well, he's not jailer. He's not prosecutor because the prosecutor prosecuted someone, so he has to be mayor. People will eventually deduce what you are. But I think mayor is the less egregious. People will beg you less than the marshal to pop out, I think. But inevitably, if you're telling people you are mayor, they will tell you to pop out. And you will not be able to do that. Monarch. Poisoner. Bad. Potion master. Bad. Prosecutor. Pretty bad. Oh, I think I was talking about Monarch. Did I even talk about Monarch at all? Dude, I don't think I talked about Monarch. So Monarch as a fake claim, just pretend I didn't add like all of these characters. Monarch as a fake claim is kind of like Jailer, where it might give you an extra day, but people don't tend to believe Monarch. Like, if you get voted up and you're like, oh, I'm town power, I'm Monarch. Like, that's the classic evil fake claim. So realistically, if you claim Monarch, so say you get voted up, everyone's like, full claim now. You say, I'm Monarch, and they'd be like, no knights, and you'd be like, I didn't trust anyone enough to knight them. Or you could say, I tried knighting someone the same day that they died. People would be like, yeah, okay, buddy. Like, the thing is, when you claim Monarch, you're not actually fake claiming Monarch like immediately. I mean, similar with like town protect claims, like these guys. Like, usually you're just expected to claim town protect and not a full roll until later on. Same thing goes for town power claims. Normally you just claim town power, and then that'll bring you to about mid to late game, and then they start asking you to prove it, and then you say Monarch, and people are like, yeah, I don't buy it. So usually when you have to explicitly claim that you are Monarch, it's bad. So I guess I will actually put this here. I think as far as fake claims go, this is probably the safest one for evils, because you have a couple excuses. You could say, oh, well, I didn't trust the investigator claim because they only found the serial killer, so they could still be coven. Or I tried to knight the investigator the same night that they were killed, so you never saw anyone get knighted. So Monarch is probably the best fake claim for town power. And sometimes even you can steal someone else's Monarch claim, but that is rare. Usually you'll get counterclaimed by the Monarch, but sometimes that can get you another day, similar to Jailer. But still, it's not great. It's still not something I would recommend you do. What I would recommend you do is fake claim Psychic. Psychic is great because odds are pretty good. Especially if you're a neutral, like a solo, if you're like a solo evil, like serial killer, arsonist, maybe even a solo apocalypse, you can just, like, chances are your evil will look good. Your evil vision will look good. Chances are you'll get one of the 4 coven, or you'll just get some random fuck-ass executioner or some random fuck-ass jester, and it'll still make your evil visions look legit and your good visions look legit. Psychic claims you don't really have to worry much about coordinating with your team. You don't even have to think that hard. Just throw 3 numbers in your will, and then, that'll at least get you to mid-game. And sometimes you just get unlucky, and maybe your good vision has 2 evil people in it, and they're like, oh, the Psychic's fake. And it's like, whatever. When you play something solo, like Serial Killer or Solo Soul Collector, you just have to be vigilant that Night 1 is good vision, so that means you put in 2 people that you think are good. Night 2 is evil vision, you put in 3 people that you think are bad. It's important to format your will correctly as Psychic, or people will out you as fake, but Psychic is a great fake claim. It puts pressure on people who are not you. If you're pushing other people, then you are less likely to be pushed yourself. Retributionist as a fake claim is not terrible. It's a pretty common fake claim. When you're evil, oftentimes you'll claim town support or town protect, because usually you don't go into the game specifically thinking, I'm going to claim town investigative this game. Retributionist is the go-to panic claim for people who claim town support because it's not very confirmable unless there are vigilantes in the graveyard, crusaders in the graveyard. You can make some plays as a retributionist. You could say, hey, I'm retributionist, the body was missing for this coroner that I tried to raise, and then maybe there's another real retributionist who will back up your claim and say, oh yeah, I actually did raise the coroner body. And then sometimes you could make that play and nobody will say anything, and you could say, oh, well that must mean there's a necromancer who used the coroner. Sorry, I just bumped the fuck out of my mic. So I guess as far as town support fake claims go, I suppose I'd put it at an A. People will probably figure out eventually that you're not a real retributionist. And one issue with retributionists is you do kind of have to have a baseline understanding of what the other roles do in order to, apply them correctly. Like you can't say, oh, I used the Crusader and I put him on the mayor when there's a bunch of other town protect claims, because chances are those town protect claims were on the mayor and they'll know, hey, I didn't get hit by a Crusader, so that retributionist did not raise the Crusader. Ritualist, up there for one of the worst things you could claim, along with Conjurer. Seer, goated fake claim. Seer, very similar to Psychic. You can just get evils by pure luck. Like, you have not a bad chance of, even if you're Coven. With Seer, you could say 4 and 6 enemies, and then turns out 4 is the prosecutor. They prosecute 6, boom, 6 was arsonist, so it's like, you're looking pretty confirmed, you're in a pretty good position, and you force the prosecutor to come out and step in, which, if you have a Conjurer or a Ritualist, then you could just kill the prosecutor, and that's a nice big obstacle out of your way early. And if you're a neutral, like Serial Killer or Shroud or something, actually, if you're Shroud, don't claim Seer, because Shrouds can get double kills off of Seers because they visit 2 people. So if you're Shroud, actually don't claim Seer, but for most neutral roles, Seer is good because, there's 4 Coven, however many neutral Epoch, however many neutral evils, maybe even more other neutral killings. So Seer is a very powerful town investigative, so it's a very powerful fake claim as well. Even as Coven, you could say your Coven teammates are friends with other town members to make your teammates look confirmed. Seer is a really great fake claim. Serial Killer, don't claim that. Sheriff, not bad. Sheriff, probably better to fake claim as Coven. Say you're a Doomsayer and you find the Conjurer as not suspicious in your fake Sheriff will. Coven will out you for that. If you're Doomsayer and you pretend to check someone who happens to be the Conjurer and you say, oh, this guy's Inno, because you're fake claiming Sheriff, then it's honestly possible that the Conjurer will just nuke you because they know that you're obvious. It's kind of insane. Instead of just allowing themselves to pretend to be confirmed innocent, they will find a way to out you as being fake. And you could also be, a Coven member and you check someone who happens to be the Doomsayer and say, oh, 6 is Inno, 6 happens to be Doomsayer. The Doomsayer will out himself as Doomsayer and say, oh, Sheriff's fake, I'm Doom, lol. That happens all the time. It's in your best interest as a Doomsayer to slip under the radar, but they will gladly out themselves just to fuck you over. It's insane. It's insane how Town of Salem players do that. That being said though, the odds of that happening are low, and all neutral killings, neutral apocalypse, show as innocent. So if you're Coven, just pretend to just coincidentally not check your teammates, and you don't say that they're sus, just say everyone is Inno. So Sheriff is a pretty solid fake claim for Coven. I would not recommend it for neutral killing, neutral apocalypse, but for Coven, Sheriff is a great one. Shroud, pretty bad fake claim. Socialite, also pretty bad fake claim, because with the Poisoner and the Tavern Keeper, they rollblock people as well as the Socialite. The Socialite gives a unique rollblock message, so it's almost impossible to pretend to be Socialite, because eventually, if you pretend to be Socialite and nobody's been blocked by a party, people will be like, the Socialite's clearly fake. However, honestly, low-key, no, I mean, we'll keep it at D tier. It can't possibly be F tier. All of these are in a next level of don't fake claim. Socialite is still probably worse of a fake claim than trying to say that I'm Town Power, I'm Marshall. Socialite is incredibly difficult to fake claim. And also, most people don't even know how Socialite works anyway. Soul Collector, pretty bad to fake claim. Spy is interesting. I believe there are a lot of interesting plays you can make as Spy. For example, something interesting that you could do as Spy, which I've yet to see happen, is you could be Coven, expect your Coven member to get checked. You could say, I'm Spy, I visited Seven, who is your Coven member, and they were targeted by an executioner, and then next thing you know, the real sheriff comes out and they're like, Seven sus, and it's like, oh, well, you know, the spy said that he was targeted by an X, so the sheriff's probably actually an X who's pretending to be sheriff. You know, there's some interesting plays you can make as Spy. If you're Plague Bearer, you can say, I went to 4 was plagued, because, you know, how else would anyone know that information other than if they're either Spy or Plague Bearer? You can also just pretend that none of your bugs get triggered. Spy is definitely an interesting fake claim. There's a lot of volatility. There are a lot of different plays you can make if you fake claim Spy, but also you can get called out by saying, oh, I bugged 4, it wasn't triggered, and then it turns out 4 was roll blocked or something like that. You could be Coven fake claiming Spy and say 4 was bugged, it wasn't triggered, and then boom, Plague Bearer pops out and it's like, okay, well obviously the Spy is fake because they would have seen the plague. Similarly, you could be Plague Bearer fake claiming Spy and then, you know, a Hex Master dies and it's like, really? You didn't find any of the hexes? So it's a highly volatile role, but there are a lot of interesting plays you could make if you fake claim Spy, so I wouldn't totally count it out, but it's definitely an advanced trick. What I saw that is interesting is Spy and Investigator have very similar mechanics, where Investigator has the Percept mechanic in which you can see what evil roles visit someone. So you can coordinate with another player who intends to fake claim Spy. You could say someone was visited by an arsonist and a hex master, and then both of those fake claims say the same info, and then you guys kind of vouch for each other. The strongest fake claims are team fake claims, claims in which you have somebody else who can vouch for you. I guess if you had to put it in like a tier list of a tier list, the best claims are something that is confirmed, like a Crusader, a Vigilante, a Veteran, and then below that is claims that can be backed up by someone else, such as Admirer, you know, Trapper, Retributionist if you say, oh, the corpse is missing, or Cleric if someone says, oh, I was healed. Tavern Keeper is a claim that is basically off limits to anyone but the Poisoner, because the Poisoner role blocks people, the Tavern Keeper role blocks people. Basically, Poisoner's main existence in the game is to discredit Tavern Keeper claims, or else they would just be confirmed every time, because there are no other roles that role block people other than Tavern Keeper and Poisoner. You could claim Tavern Keeper if you have a team backing you up and saying, oh, I was role blocked, oh, I was role blocked. But even then, this claim is pretty off limits. Tracker is another very difficult claim. Basically, Tracker is off limits unless you are Wildling, which I don't know where he is. Oh, Wildling's down here. I would not claim Tracker if you're Werewolf, even though Werewolf gets the same info that Tracker gets, basically. If there is a Tracker posting and then a Werewolf kill on night 2, chances are the Tracker claim will get pushed on the following day. But because Tracker only has to worry about one person's visits, as opposed to Lookout having to be conscious of multiple people's visits, I think Tracker is definitely a better claim, but it is still difficult and people will probably suss you out, especially because if you're not Wildling or Werewolf, you have to accurately tell people where someone went. It's just still a good amount of work to fake claim Tracker, and it probably isn't worth it. Trapper is a fake claim that I like. Similar to Spy, you get similar info with Trapper, where you get a heads up on what roles are visiting, and similarly as Spy, you're not required to tell people where your trap is until like later on. So when you fake claim Trapper, it's very linear. Night 1, you say building. Night 2, placing. You don't even have to say where you place your trap. You can just lie about it later. However, similar to, you know, Bodyguard, Cleric, Cruce, If high value targets are dying, they'll start to question you and be like, where's your trap then? Your trap hasn't been triggered yet? So eventually you'll basically be forced into making a lie and saying, my trap was triggered by an arsonist. You could just make up the role. You could say, you know, it was triggered by a baker and an enchanter. Another good fake claim, in my opinion, is trickster. If you're stuck in claiming town killing, chances are, if you claim veteran and it's on day 4, you haven't killed anybody, people will doubt you. Vigilante, day 4, you haven't killed anyone, they'll start to doubt you. Trickster is a solid town killing claim because, you know, if you get tracked or seen by a lookout visiting, you can't really claim vigilante or veteran, but you can claim trickster. Trickster you can claim in a similar way of cleric with a teammate and claim, oh, I was attacked and a barrier protected me. But the only problem is that you're expected to redirect that attack. So usually when you fake claim trickster, you don't do that. You also have the ability to lie about having selfed, which usually people don't buy. If you're bodyguard and you claim to have self-protected, people will probably lynch you for that. Same with cleric. Crusader and Trapper don't have that worry, but Trickster it's okay if you're seen visiting, and it doesn't announce to the entire game when a Trickster is in play like it does for a veteran or a vigilante. Because if it's night 4 and you're claiming town killing, and there's no veteran kills, no vigilante kills, then realistically the only thing that you can claim is Trickster. And even then they might not believe it, and that's just the nature of the game, but Trickster would be your best bet. Vampire, this role is basically not in the game. Veteran is an okay fake claim. People tend to not believe veteran claims unless there are confirmed veteran kills in the game, but usually a veteran will come out and claim it. Usually you can't steal the veteran claim because if a townie walks into a veteran, usually it's written in their will, and if you're not Coven and a Coven dies to a veteran, then you can't claim veteran because the Coven knows who the real veteran is, and the later you get into the game and you're a veteran with no kills, people will suss you out. But it's a pretty straightforward role to claim. You either say no alert or alert. Vigilante as a fake claim on paper is not bad, but in practice it seldom works out. In my opinion, I would put it in C tier, because the thing that is cringe about fake claiming Vigilante is you could be Coven, and you could say, I'm Vigilante, I shot person who is immune, aka the Baker. You could correctly deduce that a role is immune, but if there's no Vigilante kills on the board, say you push the Baker and say, I'm Vigilante, I shot them, they have defense, the Baker will just be like, yeah, straight up, okay, I'm Baker, I don't care, I wasn't shot by a Vigilante though. And he'll just drag you down with him, so you'll pretty much probably die the next day. Or maybe Marshall will pop out and he'll just kill both of you guys. Like in practice, people are so honest that it becomes really hard to fake claim Vigilante and say that you shot someone. And if you don't say that you shot someone, then you'll just kind of get hung eventually. But, you know, a Vigilante claim might get you through to like night 4, day 4, night 4. If you haven't shot somebody by day 5, like 4 nights have passed, you haven't shot anyone, first night, it's a wash. You can't shoot anyone anyway. But Vigilante is a role that can confirm itself. So if you're unconfirmed Vigilante, you're kind of cooked. But it's not the worst claim in the world. I guess it's probably better than like, I don't know, something like this. Tracker's probably more trustworthy and easier to pull off. Vigilante, you gotta lie and you might not be trusted. Lookout is a lot of work but would be highly trusted. Monarch and Tavern Keeper are kind of claims that might get you through like an extra day. Monarch and Tavern Keeper are kind of like skill check claims where if it's a weaker lobby you might get past. If you fake claim Jailer, you pretty much have a one-way ticket to executing yourself. Alright, let's order within the tier of how much work it is to claim it versus how effective it is. It's probably something like this for B tier. Alright, C tier. Actually, C tier is in a good order. D tier and F tier kind of don't really matter that much. You shouldn't be fake claiming these like at all anyway. B tier is probably something like this, I guess. I don't know. Corner is interesting because I guess corner is less work, but it is restricted to basically only Coven. Now come on, you gotta post like every day as corner. Admirer, you just gotta say, hey, I'm Admirer, I propose to 7. He's really Coven later. But I confirm he's Cleric and we're chaining now. Like you could just do that. And it's not a whole lot of work. And then after that, you're not really expected to post much. Spy, you could lie and just say, oh, none of my bugs get triggered, or it was just triggered by the Coven killing him, oh no. Spy could be very lax, or it could be very intense, depending on how much you choose to lie. Similar with Trapper. Retributionist, probably a little easier, because for like the first like 2 nights, there's probably gonna be no town deaths, and you just say, oh, can't do anything, sorry guys, I'm Retributionist, it's just unlucky. Similar with Amnesiac. Investigator, it's probably the hardest, because you can get caught out by a neutral killing having blood. If you're a neutral killing, if the Coven killing has blood, if you don't accurately say who has blood, then you can get caught lacking as Investigator. I find, in my opinion, if you're Coven fake claiming Sheriff, you know, if you say a Doomsayer or an Executioner or a Pirate is Inno, chances are they won't really care. It honestly benefits them to be called Inno if you have inaccurate Sheriff results. The only one who might have a problem with that is the Jester, because the Jester does want to get hung, and the Jester should show as sus, so the Jester might check you on that. Okay, actually, let's be honest, Crusader is the hardest one to claim, in my opinion. Cleric is probably the easiest, Trickster is pretty easy. Retributionist, Retributionist is either really easy or really hard, and then Psychic is easier than Seer. All these are dookie booty, never fake claim these don't matter. Any evil roll, basically don't ever fake claim it. I guess if we're following logic, then these are the 3 neutral apocalypses that aren't an immediate threat until later on. I think Prosecutor is not the worst fake claim, because there can be people who are suspicious, but they could genuinely be town. So you could be like, I'm Prosecutor, but I'm not going to prosecute this guy because there is a chance in my brain that he is town. Like the prosecutor revealing is a lot more high risk than the mayor revealing. So you have plausible deniability to say, this is why I didn't pros, because I think he really could be. I think he really might be the jailer, even though we know exactly who the jailer is and it's not this guy. Anyways, S, A, and B, feel free to fake claim these. I would fake claim anything S tier and A tier. B tier is a little weaker or requires a lot more effort. C tier is incredibly hard, and even if you try your best, you might still get caught lacking. D tier is, there are some fringe cases in which you can fake claim these, but overall avoid these at all costs. And then F is, these will actively get you killed.